So I'm gonna guess that at least some of you have seen my previous video breaking down the entire Drake-Kendrick beef, and if you have, welcome to the channel. I'm obliged to say all that usual stuff, a like and a subscribe will go a long way. Literally, as I was editing the final 15 or 20 minutes of that video, the visuals for Not Like Us dropped on my head and I was so annoyed that I couldn't talk about it at the end of that video properly. Kendrick's visuals are always super detailed, intentional, cinematic, but he took that approach to put the nail in the charred, burned coffin of this beef and really put on for his city as well. There are so many little Easter eggs and details and visual shots at Drake in the video, as well as Compton and LA specific references and references to Kendrick's own career. It's shit like this, like when I saw all the leaks of the video being filmed, that make me wish I was knocking around LA to catch a glimpse of this, but alas, I'm here sat in gloomy London. Before I dive into the video, I do off the bat want to point out something kind of poetic about the nature and party atmosphere of a lot of the video. Kendrick has gone on record a long time ago to say that as a child, he witnessed firsthand Tupac and Dr. Dre filming the video for California Love in the early 90s. Kendrick said, "I was in Compton and they were shooting the first version of it. They stopped right in front of the middle of the street. My pops had seen them and came back to the house and got me. My father went to the house to get me and put me on his shoulders to watch them shoot." Kendrick has of course filmed in Compton many times in his career, but not to this scale. It's real easy to think that someone in the crowd of the Not Like Us music video might be inspired to pick up a pen and pick up a mic just like Kendrick was over 30 years ago. Now, as for the video itself, everything is intentional. Even the drop date seems intentional on Kendrick's part. It's no coincidence that this drops on the 4th of July, American Independence Day, and as a Brit, I must apologize, as well as having the pop-out concert on Juneteenth. Literally everything surrounding this video is a signifier to "you are not like us." The opening shot is the surrounding area of Compton City Hall and Courthouse, which was prominently featured in Kendrick's 2009 video for Compton State of Mind, his take on Jay-Z's Empire State of Mind, of course. It's bizarre comparing the two videos side by side, knowing that a few years down the line, Kendrick would never again be able to walk down that very same spot without thousands of people following him. The first audio we hear is an unexpected snippet of brand new, never before heard material leaning even heavier into the LA, Compton and Bay Area sounds. It's interesting to me to note that at the end of the Family Matters video, Drake finishes with the line, "You're dead, you're dead," and the first words we hear from Kendrick in this video are, "I am reincarnated, I was stargazing." The snippet is literally 10-15 seconds and it already sounds fucking insane. That Kamasi Washington bar gets me every time. Kamasi Washington is of course the saxophonist who contributed significantly to Pimp a Butterfly. That snippet abruptly ends as we cut to a metallic door being knocked on to the familiar tune of "Shaving a Haircut." One of the earliest known uses of this melody is from the 1899 Charles Hale minstrel song called "At a Darktown Cakewalk." I don't know if this is intentional on Kendrick's part or coincidence, but considering how detailed he and his team tend to be, I wouldn't rule it out. Considering the nature of Kendrick's allegations regarding Drake's relationship with race and later calling him a colonizer, and this particular picture of Drake, the minstrel show reference shouldn't be lost on you. Now, this might be a reach, but the titular cakewalk referenced in that minstrel song may have developed amongst slaves living on plantations in the 1800s, where early dances evolved into what became known as cakewalks. There are some accounts of the dance which characterize it as a subtle way to mock the uptight formalities of the slave-holding white people. You can see once again how this might connect to Not Like Us's final verse. Like I said, it might be a reach, but this guy might be dissing Drake through the medium of door knocks. The knock is answered by Tommy the Clown, who was of course present at Kendrick's pop-out concert as well. Now, I will admit, as someone who is not from Compton or LA or even America, prior to the pop-out concert, I was entirely unfamiliar with who Tommy the Clown was. I've come to learn that to the people of LA, he is something of a living legend. He's responsible for creating the clowning style of dance that later evolved into crumping. Tommy the Clown is a widely respected and important member of the community in Compton, particularly to its young people. The password to the room is "I see dead people," referencing that 6th Sense bar from Euphoria, of course, before Tommy lets us in on this exclusive class. We're told "you're late," most likely a reference to Drake's constant claims of Kendrick being scared and late to drop his diss response tracks before the song actually starts. I feel like I'm going crazy with this, but like even the font seems intentional. Even the fucking font seems intentional. This particular kind of script and calligraphy is heavily associated with LA's Latino community, another signifier of Kendrick trying to unify all aspects of his community. And that unifying theme of the video reminds me of a few older Kendrick bars. One of the things it reminds me of is the hook from Ronald Reagan Era from 2011 off Section 80, where he lists all of these guys that you don't want to fuck with, but keep in mind that they fuck with him, so be careful. Then we get this dancer absolutely fucking killing the choreography, for which Charm LaDonna is responsible for, and of course, she is from Compton. The dancers in this section are also a part of Tommy the Clown's T-Squad. Just for some perspective on who Charm LaDonna is, she has choreographed for the likes of The Weeknd, Baby Keem, Dua Lipa, Madonna, Selena Gomez, not to mention Kendrick Lamar himself with Rich Spirit and Count Me Out. What's interesting to me is how nonchalant Kendrick's movement and choreography is, as if this whole thing is too easy for him, or a cakewalk, if you will. Everyone's dressed or painted in red, white, and blue, of course, the colors of the American flag. This links back to Kendrick's Euphoria claim of Drake coming to America and imitating violence. But more importantly, it's another signifier of unity between Compton's gangs, once again hammered home by the pop-out concert. You can see right here the red and blue bandanas tied together around this dancer's waist. And that particular image reminds me of the original artwork for I from 2014. "Beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching" is still one of the funniest and hardest bars of the entire beef for me personally, and now I'm glad I have this literal visual accompaniment. We then cut to a shot of Kendrick shrouded in darkness, strikingly similar in vibe and aesthetic to the second section of Drake's Family Matters music video. This masked figure approaches Kendrick from behind before being yeeted into the ether without Kendrick flinching or even acknowledging his existence. One of the more overt and obvious references to Drake throughout the video, this figure heavily resembles Drake's outfit from both the Tootsie Slide music video and the Dark Lane demo tape's album cover. A question I had was, of all the outfits Drake has worn, why pick this one? To me, this links directly back to Kendrick telling Drake on 616 in LA that he can't Tootsie Slide up out of this one. Bear in mind that this figure is yanked away as the bar Certified Boogeyman is rapped by Kendrick, clearly leaning into the title that the internet has affectionately placed upon him. As this is happening, we have this dancer behind him in all black with a Compton hat who just continues to do his thing. To me, this feels like Kendrick once again communicating that no matter what happens or who tries to run up on him, the people of Compton are always going to have his back. Kendrick is now inside of this room/cell, perhaps the cell block 1 he warns Drake not to enter as he does some push-ups. A lot of people have pointed out the fact that Kendrick does 17 push-ups here, speculating that because this is under 18, it's once again another jab at Drake's, I don't know how to say it, association with particular women. We know already that throughout this entire beef, Kendrick has been fucking diabolical, but possibly dissing brothers through the medium of door knocks and exercise is just fucking insane. I don't know how much weight and validity that whole 17 push-ups theory holds, but it's just a fun thing to think of. As Kendrick raps the whole "hide your little sister from him" bars, he does this little dance here with his fingers. Again, no coincidence, this isn't randomly thrown in, it's a clear reference to this Drake video where he does the exact same dance with a child. Like, this shit is just ridiculous. Kendrick is taking the attention to detail he applies to his usual music videos and concept albums and applying it to just stomping on Drake at any given opportunity. Another thing that confused me was this. Why is there this painting in the background and why has it been turned around? We never see what's on the front. Well, This is where we delve further into the realm of speculation, but once again, it seems too perfect. It lines up too perfect for it to be a coincidence. Now, I do have to thank TikTok and Reddit in general for pulling these pieces together. As previously mentioned, this video dropped on July 4th. Not only is that, of course, Independence Day in America, but the day of businessman Michael Rubin's annual Independence Day all-white party that has been thrown each year since 2021. This ridiculously lavish event is strictly A-list only. The likes of Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Jennifer Lopez were at last year's party. Well, Drake was an attendee of 2024's edition, and the video for Not Like Us dropped during its duration. Now, you might ask, what is the connection to this all-white party and this random piece of artwork? Well, again, the invites for this year's party were in the form of George Condo paintings, 300 of which were sent to the likes of Tom Brady, Kim Kardashian, and Emily Ratajkowski, and of course Drake. To me, considering Kendrick Lamar is also an A-lister and at this particular point in time has rarely had a bigger public presence, it's not beyond the realm of conceivability that one of these paintings / invitations was sent to Kendrick himself. As you would imagine, connecting all of these pieces together, some corners of the internet are running with the hypothesis that this painting is in fact one of these George Condo, Michael Rubin invitations that Kendrick just casually has. If we run with this theory for a moment, the fact it's turned away from us as Drake is attending the white party in real time is once again theory to be an elaborate fuck you to Drake. Another fuck the industry as well, as he's mentioned in multiple songs throughout this beef. If this is true, I really do aspire to one day in my life reach this level of hating because it's fucking beautiful. In more general terms, it could be just a tease to whatever it is Kendrick is working on next, be it more music or an entire new album. As an aside, and I will admit that this might be a moment of just flat out glazing from me, but why the fuck is Kendrick's skin literally glowing in this video? I don't know what is in this brother's food or what his skin routine is or who the fuck his barber is, but please put me on. I really don't think I need to explain Kendrick beating the owl-shaped piñata. It explains itself. It may yet be another way of Kendrick referencing the unity between all facets of the LA community with another overt Latino reference. Also, the fact that piñatas are filled with candy and heavily associated with children and children's party is not lost on me. Kendrick then proceeds to play the most laid-back version of Hopscotch I've ever fucking seen as he raps that A minor bar. Again, another reference to Kendrick's allegations about Drake regarding people who legally aren't allowed to drink. We then see what seems to be an infinite sea of people of all backgrounds singing the song's hook at the MLK Memorial that was shown in the opening shot. The imagery of Kendrick's people partying and just existing outside the city hall and the courthouse is an image that isn't lost on me. It sends me right back to the front cover of To Pimp a Butterfly with everyone on the White House lawn and the judge laid out below them. Kendrick rides around his city with mustard in this, which is a black Ferrari SF90 Stradale. I'm not good with cars. I'm sorry about my pronunciation. Now, is Kendrick dissing Drake through the medium of Italian supercars? Maybe, possibly. Maybe the biggest reach in the video. And I must credit this Reddit user called StarRec for pointing out this whole thing because I never would have noticed this again. So notice the similarity in shots here and here. It's a very similar shot and car to the one Drake was spotted driving around in the I'm Upset video in 2018, on top of it being an overt reference to this Ferrari bar from Family Matters. It's not the exact same car, but it is very similar. The seats, I feel like I'm going crazy. Kendrick might be dissing Drake through fucking seats. The seats in this model of Ferrari are called Daytona seats. Daytona seats. This has to be a coincidence. There's no way that the Daytona seats in reference to the Pusha T album is a thing. There's no way. But it's just fun to see what crazy diss conspiracy theories people could come up with. I love it. On a more macro level, just seeing Kendrick riding around in a Ferrari, like we rarely see Kendrick flex his wealth like this ever. Once again, he's telling Drake, I can do the shit that you do with ease and better. He's popping out, so to speak. Mustard is just vibing shotgun next to Kendrick wearing a particularly noteworthy hat. He is sporting a Toronto Blue Jays cap, of course the baseball team of Drake's hometown. As a side note, funnily enough, I myself have seen this team live in the flesh a couple of times. Here's a picture of me looking like the most stereotypical tourist ever. Mustard has denied that this was some sort of intentional troll on his part.
Man, the hat in the video, is that Toronto Blue Jays?
It's Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah,
I wasn't trolling because everybody thought I was trolling. I really wasn't.
So you
trolling.
Just happened because it didn't match the outfit?
No. Look.
But again, I must doubt this considering Kendrick's ridiculous attention to detail throughout his music videos. Kendrick and Mustard pull up to Tam's Burgers, a popular and significant fast food chain in Compton. Specifically, he pulls up to the Tam's number 21 location on Rosecrans Avenue. If you're a fan of Kendrick's, you'll know he has referenced spending his time on Rosecrans on a number of occasions.
Everybody sit your bitch ass down and listen to true motherfucking story told by Kendrick on Rosecrans.
Additionally, on Element, Kendrick rapped "I be at Tam's, I be on Stockton," once again affirming how connected he remains to his city. The next scene here bears a striking resemblance to this scene in the King Kunta music video over 9 years ago, another one of Kendrick's videos filmed in Compton. This little dance that Mustard and Kendrick have going on is strangely satisfying to me, just don't ask me why or how. Perhaps the wildest and most out there theory surrounding the music video concerns the next scene with these dancers and the shipping containers. People have been speculating that this may be a trafficking reference, although that specific charge or word or allegation is never explicitly mentioned by Kendrick throughout the beef. I guess the whole streamlining victims all in their home and calling them tender bars on Meet the Grahams can be interpreted that way. Regardless of this, we get some more brothers just killing the shit out of their choreography before a brief cameo by DeMar DeRozan, another Compton native who Kendrick names in the song. For those who don't know, DeRozan played for the Toronto Raptors for 9 seasons before returning to the States and is now in California with the Sacramento Kings. Drake has been an ambassador of the Raptors for over 10 years, and Drake even had warm words for DeRozan when he finally left Toronto. Since his Not Like Us cameo, DeRozan has said that he loves Drake, but Kendrick is basically like family.
Love Drake. You love Drake. You always could play him. You know, Kendrick been a friend of mine, family, damn near family. You know.
Now, personally, and I'll have to substitute basketball for football to make this analogy make sense to me, I know that if I had that attachment and personal relationship with an Arsenal player, for example, and then my biggest rival just shits all over it, it would make me feel some type of way. Dave Free, who is not the father of one of Kendrick's children, but his longtime friend, former manager, and business partner, makes a cameo. Dave Free has, of course, co-directed many Kendrick videos, including All Right, Family Ties, Humble, and this very video as well. The fact he clearly remains as close as ever professionally and personally with Kendrick says everything about the supposed strained relationships Drake strongly hinted they had. Dave and Kendrick seem to be dressed very similarly to Future and Metro on the We Don't Trust You album cover, but that might be a reach, I'll even admit that. The woman walking on the tightrope is something, at the time of recording this video at least, is something of a mystery to me. I suppose you could vaguely say that Drake has been walking on a tightrope throughout this beef, or has been tightroping his racial insecurities or something like that, but I would love to hear more theories on this. As a longtime Kendrick and TDE fan, seeing the whole roster back together in this shot makes me feel 100% like a kid again. I feel like it's 2011. I need just one more Black Hippie song, please and thank you. And of course, this display of unity reaffirms the fact that whilst Kendrick is no longer officially signed to TDE, that love and respect between them remains strong, dispelling the claims made by Drake on push-ups about some bad blood between Kendrick and Top Dawg. The next section might be the most conceptual, with Kendrick and his dancers using interpretive dance to walk us through the Atlanta slave trade and its parallels with Drake. These little camera moves on the what are so fucking satisfying and make me laugh every time. Finally, we get the most striking section of the video. We see Kendrick, his partner Whitney, and their kids looking super serious, blank-faced, directly into the camera before bursting into joyous dancing. Whitney is legitimately hitting that shit like crazy, and I don't think anyone could step like that unless they were truly at peace. The camera lens and choice feels voyeuristic, like we're not actually meant to be seeing this, which is fitting when you consider how private Kendrick tends to be about his life. As a side note, the camera and lens makes this section feel like a Yorgos Lanthimos film for a moment. Fans have been very quick to point out that Whitney is wearing a so-called wife beater vest on as one final fuck you to what was Drake's claim of DV. Kendrick gives us a couple of little cameos as well towards the end of the video. Steve Lacy from Compton, of course, appears right here alongside Thundercat, who was also raised in Compton and is a longtime collaborator of Kendrick's. We get a cheeky little wave from Kendrick before the party continues, then we abruptly cut to a shot of an owl looking at Kendrick and vice versa. Confusingly at first, there is no cage seen anywhere in this first shot, until we see the shot from behind Kendrick where the owl has now been caged. I shouldn't have to note the OVO owl logo connection, but what confused me initially was why did the cage just appear out of nowhere? From the perspective of the owl, he is free, but from Kendrick's perspective, he is a prisoner unaware that he is a prisoner. This might be alluding to a few things, Drake having quote unquote money problems and being in exploitative deals that he might not be aware of, Kendrick putting Drake in prison that he said he belongs in Meet the Grahams. Kendrick walks away from this caged owl, a signifier to me that this is the final nail in the coffin. He's walked away from the beef to go back to the crowd in the final moments of the video, to be with his people in his hometown whilst the owl remains in a cage it doesn't even know it's in. Not Like Us cannot exist in a vacuum, and its power is inherently tied to the preceding songs. Considering all the vices Kendrick says Drake relies on Meet the Grahams, with spending problems, gambling problems, pill popping, soliciting women problems, my analysis is that those are the things Kendrick believes Drake is a prisoner to. The reason why the owl doesn't know it's in a cage is because Drake believes these things are what free him. The money, the women, the gambling, those are the things blinding him to the reality that he might be a prisoner to all of these vices. Or another way of looking at it could be that Kendrick is the one that created the cage for the owl through his diss songs. The owl was free, but Kendrick showed you the liar, so to speak, and now the owl has been separated from the people and from the party. The video ends with what sounds like an assistant director, or maybe Day 3 himself, asking the crowd, do you want to do this again, before they erupt in cheers? Of course they want to fucking do this again. Kendrick being enveloped by his people here right at the end brings this bar from the Heart Part 4 full circle for me. House on the hill, house on the beach, a condo in Compton, I'm still in reach. That reach and connection to his people is metaphorically and literally there throughout this entire video. This is the cultural cachet that Kendrick can binge on that Drake can't. It's one final rubber stamp of the message, they not like us. In a perfect world, I'd also have a music video for Meet the Grahams, but I think it would probably be just 7 straight minutes of a man being murdered and would maybe violate YouTube's terms of service. One final thing I'd like to say is that this video feels like a strange spiritual sequel to Element. Element existed as this experimental, seemingly disparate collections of smaller vignettes that, when brought together, told us about Kendrick, Black American culture, and Los Angeles. Not Like Us does this in a slightly more linear and positive fashion, with that same elevated reality, surreal aspects that make it so you just can't look away. Not Like Us's music video functions to broaden the scope of the song it's attached to, which is so rare for the medium, which usually, inevitably, does the opposite. Before I go, I just want to say thank you to all of the new viewers. The last video has done numbers I thought were impossible. I've been on this channel for over 5 years. There's almost 500 videos on this channel, and that last video is by far the most viewed, and it's not even close. A whole lot of new subscribers, so thank you again. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I plan on making more of these kind of videos, not just Kendrick, of course. But yeah, thank you once again, and I will see you soon.